Hey guys, it's Rachel here at From Moments to Milestones, and we are going to put together our latest paper pad card kit. We used the Echo Park wedding paper pad, and with that we made some sympathy cards, a wedding card, a retirement card, just kind of some general encouragement cards. So if you purchase the kit, you get these instructions which walk you through how to put together each kit. And I did list the supplies I used to create the cards in the back. And then these are the 7 cards we are going to create today. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in with this retirement shaker card. And the nice thing about this one is if you really don't need a retirement card, we can leave off the sentiment at the end. You can make it a birthday card or whatever you want. An anniversary would be pretty as well. So we will start with that. In your kit, you'll have the, on some Post-it paper, those little, they're actually snowflakes, but we're going to use them kind of like stars today. And your shaker bits, we don't need that right now. So you have acetate in your frame. So we're going to go ahead and start. The card's going to open this way, and then it's up to you. There's not really a right or a wrong. You're not going to be able to tell the difference when you're putting the card together. So we're going to go ahead and put that down. All right, so now we are going to build up the front of our shaker. So you should have a small piece of acetate in this frame. If you choose to make a wedding shaker card, you could do that and just flip it around and use this side instead. But we're gonna make this card again. So I'm gonna use, I have some red line here, but score tape would work. And you can use wet glue too, but I'm impatient. So I'm just gonna put, actually I'm gonna put it here. I'm gonna outline the inside of my frame. Okay, I have the backing off, so I'm going to place that acetate over and make sure it's pressed in good and flat. Okay, so now we have the front of our window. So now we're going to build this up with foam. And we have some sequins in here, so you'll want, I wouldn't suggest, I tried to make it with a thin profile foam, and that just wasn't working. It didn't shake around, so you want to make sure just use your normal size foam. And what I'm going to do is create a real tight, I want it butted up here, a real tight window on the inside for my shaker. We don't want those pieces to fall out. I did put some prills in there, so they're kind of small and they can try to find their way out. Well, one thing you have to be careful of when you're putting on that foam is if you put it on too tight, it'll bend your paper. So you really need to let it lie naturally and then press it in. Okay. So I can see right there, I did what I told you not to do, and I left a gap. So I am going to try to fix that. I'm just gonna pull up a bit and put a bigger chunk there. All right, so now we have our frame made, and it's going to go on there like that. But before we do that, we're going to get out our shaker pieces, and in this bag you will find them. So what we're going to do, now this is going to be tricky because they're static in the bag. So I do have a suggestion. If you have some kind of anti-static powder tool, I'm actually going to take mine, and it always catches a little bit in that lid. I'm just going to pour it in there and give it a toss, and that will help eliminate that and should allow them to pour out easier. So I'm going to try to get them all together, and I'm going to put them right in the center of this black, very carefully. Actually, I'm going to cut off that bent portion. And I'm just going to carefully pour them. And you see what I mean by carefully? Those prills like to roll, and I'm just going to try to keep them in the center of the card. And some of the sequins you're going to want to spread out so they aren't on top of each other or they'll get caught. So that should be pretty good. And I'm going to remove the backing of all my foam. And the other thing you can do with that powder tool, once I'm actually going to do it real quick here, is to do on the inside of your frame right here so that the prills don't stick to that foam, to the sides of the foam. Got it all removed, and I have my shaker bits in the center, and now I'm going to carefully lay this over the top, get it centered, and drop it down. Just like that. And then I'm going to press really well around the edge and make sure that all gets sealed up before I give it a good shake. And there we go. Nice little shaker bits in there. All right, so here's the point. If you're not sure what you want to use this card for, you can leave it be and add a sentiment later, like a nice white or a pink would show up well. But if you're happy with this retirement, then we're just going to glue that straight onto the acetate. And I will say you need to be, how do I want to say this? You don't want to use too much glue, because if it starts leaking out, then it's going to show up on your acetate. So sparingly. And I'm just going to center that on there. Press it down. Good. And then we'll finish. You have these 6 little snowflakes, or kind of, you know, confetti pieces, and I'm just going to scatter them from left to right. So I have a couple up here, and you can, you know, it really doesn't, there's no right or wrong here. And I have one down here, here, and here. Oops. Missed the glue. There we go. And that card is complete. All right, our next card is a wedding card. Best wishes to the new Mr. and Mrs. All right, so this one should go together quickly. You have this black ring paper. You also have the wedding dress on the back if you'd rather, but I'm just going to use the black. And we are going to place it in the center of this white card base. Just a white border all the way around. We're not going to see it anyway. We're just looking for something to peek through that frame. I've still got frills here from the last card. Get rid of those. Okay. Now, before we put down our frame, you should have a 12-inch piece of ribbon. I've got a couple scraps here. But you should have a 12-inch piece of ribbon. So I'm going to have you cut it at 5 inches, or you could cut it in half too, whatever works for you. But what we're going to do is take that 5-inch piece, and we are going to wrap it around the bottom of the card, and then we're going to tie a knot with the leftover portion. So I'm just going to use some Scotch tape, and I think this was my smaller one, not that it really matters. Okay, so about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. Okay, and I'm just gonna wrap that around and tape it in place. Okay, there's one, and I went a little crazy with my tape. I'll just cut that off. Okay, and here. All right, so you can use any kind of, you could glue it or washi tape, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, so now that is on, and now I can place it on. So I have mine up on foam. If you don't want that dimension, you can place it flat down, but I'm gonna go ahead with that. All right, so I've got all the backing pulled off of that, and I'm gonna lay this on. So there's no border, so you wanna make sure it's lined up. Sometimes the easiest, I'm gonna line it up at the bottom here. I just kind of hold my fingers back here so it keeps it from touching, get it where I want it, and then just let it drop. All right, so I have the top on there, and then this piece is gonna fit right inside there. You can pop it up if you want. I just glued it straight down. And because it's a wedding card, you might even want to add some glitter. Might be fun to the flowers or something like that. Dress it up a little bit. I'm going to stick that inside there. And then we are going to finish with just a little knot. And then you can have it in the center, off to the side, however you want it. And you can finish the edges however you want, if you want to fishtail them or just a straight cut. Get it kind of where I want it. All right, that card is finished. Okay, our next card is Sending Big Hugs. And the little side note of you are in my thoughts. So this card could be used for a lot of things. So we will start with, you have this little, these are the dots to your eyes, so you don't want to lose those. I'm going to put those little pieces up here out of the way. And we're going to take this this pink piece and just put it right in the center of the card. You'll have a small white border. All right, and I'm just going to put that off to the side. So now you have this piece of 3L. This is scrapbook adhesives. It's foam, and it comes in you can buy it in little mini sheets like this. And we ran it through with this Sending Big Hugs dies. This is a Lawn Fawn die. So I'm going to keep it inside the foam, and I'm going to carefully remove the backing so that I can keep its shape. You know, sometimes foam wants to lose its shape or try to stretch out, and we want the foam to keep its shape so that when we put the sentiment on top, it matches up. All right, so now we can see Sending Big Hugs, and then this is just going to lay right on top. So there we go. So that was a lot easier. If you're dealing with a flimsy sentiment, that doesn't go as smooth, okay? And then I'm going to do the little eyes. So I'll take off that. And then this larger one goes on there. And the smaller one. Oops, it's trying to come out. Okay, and now what we're going to do is carefully pull out the sentiment from the foam. So we don't want to rush this or pull too hard. Just be patient. It is cut. We're just gonna, sometimes it's easy to kind of push from the back. Just work that out. Now you can discard the rest of this foam if you want. You can use it as foam on something else later. It's up to you. But these little foam sheets would also make great shaker cards. You could cut your frame from that as well. But these are thin, so you know, maybe something with glitter or something that doesn't have a bulky shaker bit in there. All right, so now we have it all punched out, and we're gonna put it in the center of our card. So what we need to do is pull off the backing gently so that the foam doesn't lose its shape. The paper will help that. All right, and I'm gonna kind of grab it right here in the two corners and just center it and keep it straight. Not yet, not yet. And it's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. All right, it's on. All right, so now you have this sending big hugs, and I'm gonna go ahead and go find my little dots. Put that one here. This one. There, okay. All right, so we have our sentiment on there, and now we're gonna add this, you're in my thoughts. So that's gonna go right here over the big, and you can glue it straight down if you want. I actually popped it up again, and I took this remnant piece of foam, and I'm just gonna trim a strip about as long as my sentiment, because this is thin profile. So that on the back. And we're just gonna center that over the big. All right, and now a little finishing touch. These are little hearts. This is from Dress My Craft. They're little heart droplets. They look like kind of water droplets. So I have a large one up here, and then I have a large and a small. And then that glue will dry clear and you won't see it. Whoops, that heart is upside down. There we go. All right, that card's finished. Okay, our next card, there are no words. So you have a little bag of goodies. I'm just going to keep those there for now. This white strip goes with them. Your card base already has a sentiment stamped on there. And then you have this floral paper, and you have the green strip. So we're gonna glue the green strip behind the floral paper. And it kind of has a right side. I mean, if you're trying to put it like so and your strip isn't long enough, then you're gluing it on the wrong side, okay? So it's gonna go like that. So I like to, you can do two things. You can put the glue on the bottom of the strip, but I like to put it on the top of the back that I'm gluing, just like that. And then I'm going to just lay it down. I want about 1/8 of an inch showing of that green paper. All right, and then this piece is going to get glued onto the white card base all the way to the bottom. So you don't want too much of that green showing, or you're going to cover up there are no words. So if you have too much green, then you just slide it down. You'll have to trim off the bottom, no big deal. All right, so there's that. So now we're going to build up our little flowers. So you should have a large dark pink, a light pink, and then the flower center. You should have a green leaf and the veins, and then 3 yellow flowers and this white strip. So first I'm going to start with this little green vein and just glue that onto the green leaf. And then for the flower, I'm going to use a small foam square, and I'm going to put it right in the center on the back, like so. And we're going to place this onto the dark pink. So if you've never seen me use this die before, this is Spellbinders, and this is a layered flower. So there are 3 petals there with some embossed cut lines. And that is how you're going to line it up. So where that V opening is there on the light pink matches up where those are. And just like that. Okay? And then we're going to put the pink center. Ooh. Well. There we go. Like so. Those 2 are ready, and then we have these 3 little yellow daisy-like flowers, and they have a hole in the center of them. So you can leave them like that if you want, but I wanted to pop mine up and I wanted them to have a white center. So you can do a couple things. One, I find this easiest. I like to take and glue it right onto the white, and then I go back with some small scissors and just trim off the excess. All right, so now that has a center. Okay, the other thing you can do is take this little strip that I gave you and maybe just cut off a thin strip and glue it to the back. So you still may need to trim it down. Yep, still a little too big, so I will cut off some of that. Okay. I think I'm going to do that again. All right, so my flowers have centers. And now we can just layer up these flowers to finish the card. So we have this greenery piece coming down and our flower here, like so. And I didn't pop them up. You can if you want. Just don't want to cover up our sentiment, so however you want to do that. And then I did pop up these little flowers, so that's up to you. You can glue them straight down, but I have these little foam squares that I've cut in half, and then I'm going to cut them in half again so I end up with little squares. There's one. Two. 3. Pull off the backing, and I have one up here. And then I have 2 down here, so I'm going to put one right there. And really wherever you want, I'm going to put it right there. And that finishes that card. Okay, this card says, "So sorry, those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day." So you got these little flower pieces. We're going to keep those in there for now. And you should have a strip. So we'll get started. So you have this light gray piece, and we are going to glue that down to the white card base. All right, and then you have this black piece, and it is going to have a hole in it. That's from the paper pad, but we're going to cover that up. So when you lay it down, you just want to make sure it's off to the right. And we're going to put that onto the left side of the card. Okay. All right, and then you have this, it's like mint on one side and pink on the other. And so I'm going to place it. You can butt it right up there against it if you want. I left gray, so however you want to do that. I think I'm going to use, it's going to be a little bit long. So I'm just going to put glue on there. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch. Stick it on there, and then I'll trim off the excess. All right, so we have that part done, and now you should have the sentiment. It's pink on one side, black on the other. And I suppose if you wanted to use that light pink, you could. I'm going to use the black, and it mats like so, and that's going to go on there. But what I did want to say is, if you don't want a sympathy card, maybe you wouldn't mind having another wedding card. So this says, here's to love, laughter, and happily ever after. You could totally leave these two pieces off, save them for something else, and now you have a wedding card. We can still put the flowers up here in the corner, so I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the sympathy card. I was seeing if I popped that up. I did not. So we're just going to put this It's a 3x4 cut apart from the paper pad. We're going to put it right in the center of the card, like so. All right. And then this is going to go in the center like that. And all of it's glued straight down, no foam. So we will center that on the gray. All right, so we're going to empty out our little goodie bag. Okay, and these papers are all double-sided, but what you should have is 4 light pink, like they're like flower centers, and 4 dark pink flowers, and then 4 green leaves. And so what we're going to do is place these centers onto the flowers, and there's really no right or wrong. You can kind of goof around with a placement and get them where you want them, but the larger ones go on the larger ones. Just get it where you're happy. I just kind of move it around till it looks right. There we go. All right, so those are layered up, and so what I've done here is I'm going to place one of the larger ones down here, and then I'm going to use and I put this one up on foam, so I'm just going to put a foam square behind it, and it's going to go right here, and then I'm going to use one of the larger leaves off to one side. I'm going to stick those right onto the foam. And a smaller one off to the other. Okay? I'm going to put a little more glue on that so it sticks. Right down there in the corner, like so. And then up here, I'm going to do that same thing with a larger one, and then the 2 other flowers I'm just going to glue straight down. So I will, and then you could do this if you wanted. You could put the glue it. Glue the leaves to the back of the flower and then put on the foam. It's up to you. Whatever works for you. So I want them going down. That. And I'm going to put a little bit more glue on there so it sticks. Okay. There's that. I'll stick on these other two flowers. One in there. All right. And there you go, that card is finished. All right, our next card, thinking of you and wishing you comfort and peace. This also can just be an encouragement card. Just want to send someone a little note. So we will start with this black plaid paper. We're going to put that right down onto the card base. Okay. And then you have this strip of paper right here, and what we're going to do is cut banner ends on just on the one end. So I'm just going to cut up the center and then from corner to center. And then we're going to glue that to the center of the card. Center it up, and then I'm just going to trim off that excess. All right, and you should have this little blue post-it with your flower center there. You don't want to lose that. Okay, so next we have this, okay, I got it the wrong way. Yep. A fancy scalloped frame from Lawn Fawn, and we're going to put that right down. And I do not have this on foam. Oh yeah, I do. I have it on the thin foam. So if you want to pop it up, you can. Go ahead and put a couple pieces there. All right, we're going to center it on there over that banner, and then this is going to go in the center of that white, and I just glued it straight down. Okay, and then you have a couple greenery pieces, a couple pink flowers, and this flower center. So I didn't really do any shaping. You could if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to turn them up or get out your stylus and do that. I'm just going to pinch up the ends and then layer them. I'm going to put the smaller one on top of the bigger one. All right. Offset the petals. And then we're going to put that little flower center. It's black. And then that flower is going to go right here. So you've got two flowers, and we're just going to kind of put it off to the side. You can pop it up if you want to. I'm just going to glue mine straight down. Put a dot of glue in the center. And glue it down. And then you have these two greenery pieces, and what I did was just snip off right here. I just want the top three on both. You're welcome to use the whole thing if you want. I'm just going to use the top three on both of those, and I'm going to tuck them in behind that flower. put a little glue and just tuck them in. All right. Our last card from the kit, with Deepest Sympathy. So you do have this green, it's yellow on one side, green on the other, and it has a sentiment already stamped on it, so you're going to make sure we get that going the right way. So that's where we're going to start. So the card's going to open from the bottom, so that sentiment going the right way. Okay. And then we have two sympathy die cuts. You have a black and a white, and I am going to layer my black on top of my white and put it below there. And I'm not giving any shadow. You could if you wanted to. I'm just laying it right on top. And you'll see the white peek up from the edges, and it'll help that pop a little bit on that green paper. All right, so that looks good. And then that is going to sit right under that with Deepest, and then Sympathy is going to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. I just want to make sure that my Y's are on the card. There we go. All right, and so now we have this beautiful black floral paper. You have three rectangles of it, and you have 3 black. So we're gonna put those on like so. And then with your strips, as you'll notice in this card here, it really was 1 strip that I cut into 3. So there's a continuous pattern there. If you want to line it up, you can. It's a little detail. If you don't, nobody's gonna notice. All right, so it's upside down. Okay. 1, 2, and 3 there. And what I did was I popped them up on foam, and I'm just gonna spread them out evenly across the top. All right, I'm removing all the backing from my foam. And I'm going to start with the middle one, and I'm just going to center it, just put it in the center. So I'm going to come down about 1/4 of an inch. Make sure that's straight, and then the other 2, I'm just going to center in that space that's left. Making sure they're straight and lined up. And there you go, with Deepest Sympathy. All right, that does it for our video today. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you're interested in purchasing a kit, you'll need to contact the store via email. Our email is scrapholder@gmail.com. Thanks for following along and watching today, and we will see you again next time.